Hi there, my name is Phillips and the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share and subscribe and ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. So this is another one in my ongoing Guides to Big Finish. Big Finish is a fantastic company that makes incredible audio drama. That's they describe them as books on tapes, but they're really, I think, much more than that. Book on tape, I think, is one person reading something. Yeah, maybe with a bit of music in the background, bit of a soundscape. This is a full cast audio drama. It's kind of like watching a TV show or a movie without watching it. You just hear it, and it really, really works very well. So they got their, they really made their name making licensed product, Doctor Who, and they were been around since like the late, I think, '99 is when they started, and they really, I think Doctor Who's revival is very much down to them, both in keeping Doctor Who alive, in the eyes of the devout fandom, and also like pushing it forward, taking it into a new and interesting direction. But I think the person who really fared best out of Big Finish, the Doctor who fared best out of Big Finish, was the Sixth Doctor. There is 156 releases apparently to go through to talk about. So the way I do these guys normally, I just go through them. I've been collecting them since the beginning. I go through them. I haven't done any research, so everything is based on me remembering it. If I remember it, it means it's either very good or very bad, and it's worth your attention. If I don't remember it, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't really know. Again, there's a lot of stories out there. But if you're new to Big Finish and you just looking at this sea of content, this wall of content, and you don't know where to start, that is what these guys are for. This guide is focusing on the Sixth Doctor. But before we get into it, can I ask you guys, can you hit that subscribe button? Thank you very much. If you subscribe, you are eligible to enter my weekly competitions. The prize this week is a pretty darn good one. It is the Godfather DVD Collection. It's all 3 movies, yes, even the third one. Plus lots and lots of very good documentaries, everything you need to know about the Godfather, which is a absolutely fantastic series of movies. I started actually watching it again last night on Netflix because I just like, well, I'm giving away, but might as well check it out again. And it's even better than I remember. So all you need to do to win it is subscribe to my channel, and in the comments leave the hashtag "You broke my heart, Fredo." You broke my heart, Fredo, because indeed Fredo did break Michael's heart. And also go check out the video notes. There is an audio adventure for you to download. I'm not sure which one it's going to be. It might right now. It's Judge Dredd. The Judge Death, the Death Line. Can't remember the name of it. You can't actually buy it anymore from Big Finish. It's out of license, and you can't get a physical or a digital copy. So I'm posting the things that are like completely out of print and unavailable here for you for your delight and delectation. All I will say is, if you download it, listen to it, and enjoy it. I'm not sure what one I'm going to put. I might actually replace it with the Tomorrow People one, which is in the same category, or Sapphire and Still. So either way, if you download it, listen to it, and enjoy it, and Big Finish ever gets the license back again, and they start selling it, I would recommend going over there and buying yourself a digital copy. They're normally quite cheap, so I would say that's probably worth your while. Fine, so let's start looking at the Sixth Doctor at Big Finish, and the Sixth Doctor really did very well from Big Finish in my in my estimation. So it starts way back with the Sirens of Time. This is a multi-Doctor story. It's a 3-Doctor story. Each part 1, 2, and 3 is focused on the 5th, 6th, and 7th Doctor. They're each in one part each, and they all come together for the last part. Not a brilliant release. It's a $1.50. But I will say this is probably one of their weakest releases, and they got a lot better from there. So let's start plowing through the Colin Baker releases. So and they're all there's a lot of real good ones here. This one, the second release they did, only $2.99. Really worth it. Really worth it because it really uses the audio format in a really good way. It's Sixth Doctor and Nicola Bryant, Whispers of Terror. Really like the story. It's written by Justin Richards. And you know what? Again, this is like one of their first ones they did. It's one of their best. It really is one of their best. I recommend this one wholeheartedly. I also recommend the next one, the Marion Conspiracy. And we're seeing here like how Colin Baker got them. These Colin Baker stories got them off to such an incredibly strong start. So this introduces Colin's companion, Professor Even Smythe, who, because they're not on TV, they're able to break out of the mold a little bit and do something a bit different. So she's a senior lecturer, a senior history lecturer at, I can't remember what college. Anyway, she ends up joining the Doctor, and it's a really really good Doctor companion combination. This first story is all about, was it Mary Queen of Scots? I think. Just kind of remember it. I remember because I saw the movie Elizabeth, and this kind of repeated exactly the same bit that we saw in I think the beginning 20 minutes of it, yeah. So, but this was a particularly good story. Again, strong recommend. And then another strong recommend, The Spectre of Lanyon Moor, which puts the Sixth Doctor together with the Brigadier. It's just magical, hearing them both together. Again, strong recommend. One I don't recommend though is the Apocalypse Element, which was I think the second or third of their Dalek stories they did, and this one which just kind of was a bit boring. I don't remember the details. I remember Lala was in it because she's on the cover, but this one didn't really work for me. So that one's a bit of a miss. What did work though, The Holy Terror, written by what's his name? Really good writer. What's this? Now you see. Now I'm going to click on it and let's look at this and see who it was written by. Robert Sherman. Robert Sherman, fantastic writer, fantastic Doctor Who writer as well. And this also features Frobisher. And this is very, very Robert Sherman. He didn't do so many stories, and he's a bit of a lost classics. So this one, again, the Doctor and Frobisher, the shape-changing pink penguin from the comic strips, as his companion. And it starts kind of light and frothy, but ends really darkly. Really dark, but it's again really good classic story. Very, very Robert Sherman. I really recommend this one a lot. $2.99 as well. You cannot go wrong for that. Blood Tide, another great one. Jeez, he's having a great opening bout here. Blood Tide. It was a Silurian one set on the Galapagos Islands. Again, don't remember the details. Don't remember who the companion is in this one, but I remember enjoying it and it being a good one. Project Twilight also introduced an ongoing. All these ones are pretty much they're all knocking out the park right now. Project Twilight introduced another ongoing story strand with the Forge. This nefarious semi-government organization that uses that works in the underworld and uses alien technology and magic. So basically X-Files stuff to do dodgy things, and they come up against Colin Baker's Doctor. A good one, and this actually set that they're a good villain, sets up a bit of an arc. If you want to get a larger plot thread, this is a good one to follow. Blink Finish do that, by the way. They start a plot thread and they just follow it over a number of years with individual releases. Next one, I don't know why it's only 150, but it's a really good one. The One Doctor, where the Colin Baker's Doctor and Mel end up in the boring end of time. Not the boring end of time, the gauche end of time. I can't remember. And there's somebody there impersonating the Doctor, doing doctory things, played by Christopher Biggins. And hilarity ensues, well, sort of. But this is more of like a Christmassy story. I really like this one as well. Again, right out the bat with some just good story after good story. This one is free, so I don't see why you wouldn't download that. The Ratings War. And Invaders from Mars, Rating War. It's Colin Baker's story. It also has Meet the Beep in it, I think, as I recall. Excellus Rising was a 3 or 4 part Excellus series where basically it was Anthony Stewart Head, Brother Lasser from School Reunion, if you remember it there, or from Buffy. He was huge in Buffy the Vampire Slayer at this time. Buffy was the go-to sci-fi of this era, or maybe just a little bit before this era. So they did a 3-part story with Anthony Stewart Head in it. One with the 5th, 6th, and 7th Doctor. This is there. None of them were that memorable. Very good. $7.99. I think that's a bit overpriced. Especially for not a great story. Ish I like, but not a lot of people did. Ish was a story about language. I listen to the trailer. See if you like it or not. But Sandman was really clever. This is another 6th Doctor evening story where where he goes and meets, I think, the Galilari Clutch, which is this massive group of spaceships that are all linked together and it's constantly changing and growing. But it's like this traveling community, traveling city of linked spaceships, and the Doctor is viewed as their evil, viewed as their devil, as their Sandman. because they were villains in an earlier story, which we never saw. But yeah, no, great solid story. I really like this one as well. Again, just coming off the bat with some great stuff here. Maltese Penguin, that was a subscriber only release, and well, it's a bit more expensive, $5. This features Dog Bloater and Frobisher again. Was it Robert Jezek plays Frobisher? Real Time was one of the BBC adventures they did on the BBC website before Doctor Who came back, and you have like these really bad real time animation. Do you remember Real Time? That was like this was internet back in what the early 2000s, when you're looking at like postage stamp size on your screen, trying to squeeze it, squint and see what's going on. So you don't get any of the illustrators, although they were quite good. Although the story feels like it ends on a cliffhanger, but it doesn't. You have to re-listen to it because it's a circular story. Pretty good. It's a decent Cyberman story. I wouldn't say it's like a must listen to one. Bang Bang and Boom is why is this one here on Colin Baker? This is the Seventh Doctor and Mel. Quite like that one as well, although I don't know where it came up as one of the Sixth Doctor stories. It's basically Eurovision Song Contest in space. But Jubilee is a Sixth Doctor story, and it's a freaking awesome one. Also written by Robert Sherman. You can see very much that's what Dalek is set on, but this is so much better than Dalek, the 2005 story. It's so much better. When the TARDIS kind of rips reality in two, and the Doctor has to put it together, and there's all this like weird stuff going on with the Daleks. Like the Doctor's there 100 years after a failed Dalek invasion, and the Daleks have become this cultural laughing stock, so to say, much like the Germans from World War II were at the time. I can't say the name because it was on YouTube, but the answers were just considered a bit of a joke up until about 3 or 4 years ago, when they were said, "Oh no, they've come back," and now they're back. They haven't come back. It's just stupidity. The Doctor and the Pirates is a fun one. I enjoy this one as well. It's kind of a musical. It basically, imagine Doctor Who doing the Pirates of Penzance, and that's basically what it is. And it's the Sixth Doctor, even smart, bit of an oddity, but I do like it. I think it's fun. I really think you should check it out. Project Lazarus, either it's got the Seventh Doctor in as a cameo or the Sixth Doctor. I can't remember. This is another one of the forged stories, but it's a good one. It's got all the forged stories are pretty good. I recommend this. So then they were doing a series of supervillains. They did the Master, Omega, and Davros. This was a great story with the Sixth Doctor and Terry Malloy. It's kind of almost a two-hander, but it's not. Then Zagreus was their big 50th story. And it wasn't great, but it tied up a bunch of the plot threads and moved things forward. You did have the Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy, and Paul McGann in it, mostly playing other roles, which was a bit weird, if you don't mind saying so. Wormry was great. Wormry's a great story. Yeah, I can't believe how many of these stories I just like. Didn't prepare at all, but any of these, all these stories are like, yeah, you got to listen to it. This is great. This is great. Wormry is one featuring Katie Manning as not Edlin Smythe. What's the name of the companion? They did a whole a whole series of spin-offs with her. I'm gonna have to look it up. Oh my god, my failing memory is not doing me well. Can't remember. Iris Wildtime, of course. Iris Wildtime, and Iris Wildtime is fantastic. Katie Manning is fantastic as Iris Wildtime. She's a bit of a boozy fellow Time Lord who travels. Her TARDIS is in the shape of a bus, which is smaller, a big red London bus that is smaller on the inside than the outside. And Katie Manning is just really, really good in the role. They spark off each other really, really well. Again, strong recommend. Arrangement for War starts to see Edlin Smythe being written out. It's a bit of a bleak story, if I remember correctly. Medicinal Purposes has a cameo. I would say it's a bit more than a cameo by David Tennant, up and coming actor David Tennant, playing Mad Jamie, I think is or Mad somebody. But he's you have no idea where this young actor is going to go. But it's a really good one as well as it was. It's called it's basically the Sixth Doctor with the grave robbers, Burke and Hare. Her final flight was, I believe, that was a subscriber bonus with Nicola Bryant Don't remember that much about it, other than saying it was pretty good. It was better than I expected. The Juggernauts is fun. This is the return of the Mechanoids, and you get to find out a little bit more about the Mechanoids. It's a Sixth Doctor and Mel story. Terry Malloy is also in as Davros. Is an interesting extra dimension to Dalek lore, which is worth looking at. Catch 1782 was a like a timey-wimey story with the Seventh Doctor, the Sixth Doctor, and Mel. Again, strong story. Yeah, I'm really, I'm quite. Again, I said this about the third or fourth time I say it, these are all pretty much 95% excellent stories. Thicker Than Water, I think it kind of wraps up the Evelyn Smiles arc to a certain extent, but it's also got Mel in it. But the next release goes back in time, and it's just the Doctor traveling with Mel. It also has in it Roy Hudd playing Max Miller. It's all set on Brighton Pier. Also has, what's his name, Doug Bradley as Pinhead from the Hellraiser movies. Great, again, strong release. Yeah, you're doing good. All these ones are $2.99. Nowhere Place I remember nothing about at all, other than being it was a bit hit and miss. The Reaping was part of I think a two or three part story arc, all with Cybermen. You had the Reaping, you had the Gathering, and you had a third one. But it's essentially 80s Cybermen. Although they didn't have I wonder who did the voices for Cybermen. It wasn't David Banks on this one. Let's have a look. Cast Nicholas Briggs the Cybermen, but they're very 80s Cybermen. You know, it's let me just close these up so I can. There we go. Chrysabiosis, that was definitely a subscriber release, and that was a really quite good one. It was the Doctor on with the TARDIS, and they're trapped on a boat, I think, and some strange dairy doom is going on there. Year of Intelligent Pig was a very good one. This was the last story that Gary Russell, I think oversaw when he was like the executive producer. So it's got Maureen O'Brien in it, who I don't remember at all. Michael Keating from Blake 7, who I do remember in it, and it's about the intelligent pig. It's again, all these ones are just really solid, great stories. Then they started doing something a little bit different. This was a ID, I think it was a 3-part story, and then they had Urgent Calls, which was a 1-part story as well on it. Which was ID was okay. ID was okay. I'll give it like a 6 out of 10. Wishing Beast, I remember not liking. Paul Maggs. I'm surprised I didn't like it by Paul McGuff. Maybe I'm mistaken that. But I remember thinking it wasn't that great. I'm surprised. Maybe I was expecting it to be better than it was. Again, for $2.99, you really can't go wrong. You really can't go wrong. 100 was the 100th release, and it was this was 4 individual stories, and I can't remember anything about them other than I think it was one of the first times they did it, and it really worked. The Condemned is when India Fisher was Charlotte Pollard. She was the companion to the 8th Doctor, and the 8th Doctor thought she was lost, but she ends up meeting up with the 6th Doctor, and she becomes a companion for like 6 or 12 releases. And so you've got this ongoing tension that she knows her Doctor's future, so she can't give spoilers. So you've got that kind of tension going on in the background. The Condemned, I think, remember it being kind of a like a contemporary thriller from what I guess it'll be 2005-ish, around there. Assassin in the Limelight, is that the one? I think that also introduces Thomas Brewster into the Thomas Brewster arc, which is another pretty good arc. I think does he stay on? I kind of remember him doing that. So the Assassin in the Limelight also has what's his name? Let's see if I can read his name off it. Famous actor. He's on the cover, and I can't even. Now I'm gonna open it and have a look. I can't remember his name. Famous actor. It is Leslie Phillips. In it, who's pretty good. I think this is something to do with American history. It also has Maggie Staples in it. Now Leslie Phillips, I know because his ex-wife used to live 2 doors away from me and taught remedial reading. And she didn't have much success with me. I'll be honest with you. But that's my little claim. Doomwood Curse was a pretty good one. I think it's the 6th Doctor and India Fisher. Charlotte Pollard with Dick Turpin, or with Highwayman, as I recall. Then you got the Oatman Adventures, part of the stage plays releases, which was so much fun. In the 80s, they did a Doctor Who stage play. John Pertwee was the title role for half the run, then Colin Baker for the other half. It's got music songs in it. It's got David Banks is in it, and I remember one time David Banks understudied as a doctor in it. Can you imagine you paying all that money to go and see Doctor Who on theatre and you get David Banks as the Doctor? That's gotta piss you off. That would really piss me off. But these were fun. I really like this way. They also had the Curse of the Daleks and the other one I can't remember. But these were three really good, fun releases. I enjoyed all of these ones. Brother of the Daleks is an okay Dalek story with Sixth Doctor and Charlotte Pollard. Nothing marvelous. It was I'd say a 6 out of 10. Rain Cloud Man was interesting. This is about I can't believe how much I remember. They're showing, yeah, that the Colin Baker era in Big Finish is really a cut above. Rain Cloud Man is about a cooler. You know, his job is when people are gambling, he goes and sits with them and brings them down. So they when they're having like a lot gambling, and he brings them down and he cools their luck down. So but it's there's a little bit more going on there than just bad luck. Patient Zero introduces I can't remember the name of these villains. I suppose I'll look it up. I'll look it up. Yeah, I've done it. I'll do the other ones. Have a look. But they ended up going off with Charlotte in the when she's was spun off. The Virians, that's what they're called. The Virians that were also that had were very disease conscious. This will be very timely for now. So now the release has jumped up to $12.99. Honestly, I really think they should have everything more than 3 years ago be $2.99. I really do, because like this is actually pretty strong arc, and I would recommend it. So it was the Virians, who was this new villain they're building up, versus the Daleks with the Sixth Doctor and Charlotte Pollard. Then we got into a really these two releases are really good. I really love them. Paper Cuts was kind of this weird draconian story, which about like kind of origami warriors. And they were the villains in some way or another. I can't remember. And Blue Forgotten Planet was it wrapped up the whole Virian arc, and I think sent Charlotte Pollard off into her own direction. But this was also it was really there was a lot of making fun of marketing in it, which I thought was quite fun. So then we started on the Lost Story. So the Nightmare Fair was season 24, season 23 that never happened. The trial of time will happen instead. So this was the Sixth Doctor versus the Celestial Toymaker, now played by David Badali. Is that how you pronounce his name? Who was in was it Robots of Death? This was written by former producer Graham Williams. I read the novelization of this years and years before this, and this was a pretty good adaptation. Return of the Crotons, pretty much what it says on box. Sixth Doctor and Charlie meet the Crotons. This was a subscriber release. So then we got Mission to Magnus, one of the missing stories. This was so cringingly, embarrassingly bad. This was like so, just like cringingly sexist and like just so like listen. I'm not one to complain about sexism. I quite like sexism. It makes me laugh a lot of the time. It was so cringe-inducing. It's and I had the Ice Warriors in it. Thank God this one never got made. This one's a miss. Unless you like really like to see listen to really bad stories, which is what this was. It's on every level. Leviathan was it was an okay story. Quite missable. I'm not like rending my garments that this one was cancelled. Hollows of Time was freaking awful. This is awesome, freaking awful as I recall. It was Chris and Barnaby. I think it was supposed to be a master story, but for some reason the master couldn't be in it, and it was adapted so badly for audio. Yeah, you had Colin Baker go, wait a minute, why is there that? Yeah, just explaining things that are like very visual for no apparent reason. Paradise 5, written by P.J. Hammond, who did Sapphire and Steel. Good one. I like this one. I remember reading about it in Doctor Who magazine again years before this. I like the adaptation. I like the story. City of Spies starts a three story arc with the Doctor with Jamie and older Jamie, and you don't understand what's really going on or what is with Drake Jamie, and so that's the ongoing tension throughout that three-story arc. But it's a darn good three-story arc, as yeah, it really is. Point of entry is an Elizabethan tale, kind of like that again, much like I was saying earlier that movie Elizabeth meets Doctor Who. But they got all like the period setting. I think I listen for somebody who knows nothing about history. Seem pretty accurate to me. Record of the Titans is the second of the two part of the 3-part trilogy. Again, good good strong story. Sixth Doctor worked very well with Fraser Hines. Song of the Magaptra was a story by Pat Mills, who created 2000 AD. I can take it or leave it. It's not one of the lost stories. So the Jamie trilogy is wrapped up. Also with Zoe in the Legend of the Cybermen, which is really interesting. Again, I think it deals with like stuff that like fiction in a very interesting way, in a very mind robbery kind of way. It's kind of a semi sequel to the Mind Robber. Again, no research at all. This is just going on my memory. A fun story. I like this whole arc. I do like the whole arc. Sixth Doctor works really well with Jamie. The Macros is it's a pretty forgettable lost story. I think that's skippable. 4 Doctors you can't get, so don't worry about it. It's a subscriber exclusive. Well, maybe you know what? If you're not able to buy that, maybe I'll put that up at some point as one of my downloads. That's a really good multi Doctor story written by Peter Angelis. I haven't heard from him from ages. I wonder what he's doing now. Is he still working in Doctor Who, in Doctor Who writing? He used to be really big, especially around the BBC Books era, 8th Doctor BBC Books era. So now we're back to Maggie Staples again, but now she's also joined by Thomas Brewster. The Crimes of Thomas Brewster. This was a pretty darn good stories as well. It feels who wrote this one? Jonathan Morris, and you can tell because he's a solid writer. Parent and the Piscum Paradox is a companion chronicle, and it's a really superior one. It's a really superior one. It's basically Perry experiencing a paradox. I think this is a 2-disc release. I don't normally recommend companion chronicles. This one is one of the strongest ones I think they did. I really enjoyed this one. Feast of Axos wraps up the 6th Doctor, Maggie Staples, and I think the Thomas Brewster. Is it this one? I think it wraps up, and it's the Return of the Axos. It's pretty good. It's not as good as I thought it would be. Short Trips is just Short Trips. Okay, no, Industrial Evolution wraps up the Thomas Brewster arc, and we don't really hear about Thomas Brewster again until 2020 when we get to Stranded, the 8th Doctor's box set, when he finds the house that the Doctor owned in Baker Street has been converted and turned into flats by Thomas Brewster. John Brewster is I think the idea behind it was them trying to do. The idea behind Adric was doing, let's do a space Artful Dodger. So I think that's what they tried to actually do it with a bit more realism, and I think it worked quite quite nicely. Recorded Time is another one of the 4 individual part stories. I liked it. Any ones that really stand out to me? I can't really remember any of them, but again, I like these little 4-part individual stories. Beyond the Ultimate Adventure is a sequel. Is this a companion chronicle? Yeah, it's a sequel to the Doctor Who stage play, The Ultimate Avenger. The Curse of Davros, which was called The Cruise of Davros by mistake for quite a while, introduced Lisa Greenwood as Flip as a new companion. Lisa Greenwood is a very contemporary character from where? Well, let's see what year. What year was this released? I'm gonna say 2012 would be my guess. Whoa! Look at that! Wow, I am doing good. And it introduces her. It's a really nice combination with the 6th Doctor and Flip again because she's very like down to earth, working class, average person, and she like doesn't put up with like any of the 6th Doctor's inflated being grandiose. The Fourth Wall is a story, as I recall, about like reality TV. The 6th Doctor and Flip being basically caught in a reality TV world. And Wirren Isle is, again, what it says in the box, the Return of the Wirren. This was a good one. I did quite enjoy this one. Sixth Doctor appeared in Jago and Lightfoot Series 4. Go check out my guide on Jago and Lightfoot. They're always fun. They're always worth listening to. And I recommend them. Guardians of Prophecy is a sequel, another one of the Lost Stories. It's a sequel to, what's the name of the story? The Tarkin story. Keeper's Tarkin. I just had Tom Baker in my head say, people being just very, very nice to each other. I couldn't hit the story. I just heard that line in my head. It's okay. It's okay. It's more of a curio, I would think. Power Play sees the return of Victoria, Deborah Watling playing Victoria. Not great. I'm actually kind of glad they didn't make this one. And the first Sontarans, again, what it says in the tin, Sixth Doctor and Perry meeting the first Sontarans. This was pre, what's his name? The guy's been playing the Sontarans. I think it's pre that. Let's have a look. Let's see who played the Sontarans in this one. Cast is Dan Starkey. I take it back. This is not pre Dan Starkey. Dan Starkey basically became the voice of Sontarans, and they use him a lot, and he's always good at it. So then we got another Jago and Lightfoot one. It's $4.99. I remember it being much cheaper when they released it. It was like $1.99. Voyage of Venus is one of the first of the two Sixth Doctor with Jago and Lightfoot as his companions. Again, it's a very like steampunky story where they go to Venus and they meet lots of steampunky things. The Acheron Pulse is, I believe, the part of a trilogy of stories, which I really don't remember much about at all. But it's a Sixth Doctor on its own. This is by Rick Briggs, who got his first story doing one of the competitions, which on one of the 4 individual story releases. And it's okay. It's okay. But I think it's a companionless Sixth Doctor story. Voyage to the New World takes the Sixth Doctor Jago Lightfoot to the beginnings of America. You meet Native Americans. And it's okay. I have no idea why this is on sale. The wrong Doctors, but you should snap it up because it's a really good one. It deals with the Sixth Doctor and Perry paradox, and the Sixth Doctor's does he wear his blue coat or does he wear his multicolored coat? And this one's a strong one as well. This one's a pretty strong story. I'll give this one about a 7.5, 8 out of 10. I would recommend it. Spaceport Fear is a bit spooky dooky, but I don't remember much more than that. And the Seeds of War introduce. Do they introduce? It features one of the Big Finish adversaries, the Eminence, which I really like, but they just kind of forgot about them. But they're a really good villain, and I really wish that they would bring them back. Destiny of the Doctor is one of the 50th anniversary stories, and none of them were very good or really worth your time. Light at the End was a Big Finish 50th anniversary story, which was freaking awesome. Loved it. And again, multi-Doctor story with the Master. Absolutely fantastic. I don't know why ID's coming up again and Siren's of Time, but they just are. This is Urgent Calls. So this is a free one, I think, which was the one story on that disc. 1963. This was a trilogy of stories set in 1963. The best one was called Requiem for the Echo of the Bunnyman or something along those lines, which was a Fifth Doctor story. But this is basically you have a Fifth Doctor, Sixth Doctor, and Seventh Doctor story, all set in 1963. The Seventh Doctor one features countermeasures. This is the space race dealing with the Russian the Russian space program, and it was okay. It was okay. I quite like that trilogy, but again, they should really just be. They should sell all 3 stories for $12.99. Then I will say yes, 100%. Go and get that. So now we're back to the Sixth Doctor and Flip, and they meet Syl. It's a very anti-capitalist story, as you expect. Philip Martin writing it in the capitalist destroyed remains of London. But again, it's always fun to hear Nabil Shabana as Syl. I always enjoy it. Brood of the Aries is about a bird people type of species. kind of forgettable. Don't remember much about that at all. And Scavenger ends the Sixth Doctor and Flip. Well, it ends on a cliffhanger for the Sixth Doctor and Flip, and you don't know what happens to Flip for quite some time. Which I'm quite glad they did resolve eventually. Breaking Bubbles and Other Stories is another one. The individual 4-part stories. Again, none of them really leap out at me, but again, I do always enjoy them. The Worlds of Doctor Who is one of their massive crossovers, which was, I think this was one of the weaker ones. I think the Worlds of Big Finish was the weak one. Yeah, they did really well with Light at the End, and they've done like 3 or 4 of them after. None of them have been that good. Although, do they have the Last Adventure here? I'm not sure. I don't see it listed yet. Maybe, yeah. Maybe I'll find it as I keep going. So next we're in a post-Yukanos Perry and Sixth Doctor. The Sixth Doctor goes and finds Perry after she's been married to Yukanos, and she's been the queen there for quite some time. Pretty good, kind of like Game of Thronesy political intrigue, and then she goes and leaves with the Doctor, and they get caught in an adventure in the Dalek invasion on Earth. This was a good one as well. This was a recommend. Who wrote this one? I think Mark Wright and Kevin Scott, and yeah, because they're a solid pair. They know what you can get the first part for free. And the Rani Elite introduces a new Rani. Who is it? Plays her? Siobhan. I don't know her name. But they don't use her enough because she's really good. She's really good as a Rani, and this was a good story, and they should have done more with her. Subscriber release was a trial of the Valiard, and it's all about the Doctor's grip on reality fracturing along, and that being represented within the Valiard. Who wrote this one as well? This was Alan Marnes, and I can't read the other name. Last of the Cybermen is one of the step-in trilogy. Again, you had a 5th, 6th, and 7th Doctor, where they suddenly end up replacing another Doctor. So this is the 6th Doctor suddenly finds himself swapped with the 2nd Doctor. So he's with Jamie and Zoe in the story. Last of the Cybermen, a pretty good Cybermen story as I recall. And again, first part is free. Go and check it out for yourself. Last Adventure, freaking awesome! Love this one. This is a great release. This is a how many disc release? Let's have a look. This is, I think, 4 or 5 disc release. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's 4. It's probably 5 discs because it's 4 stories. And this shows this is the last adventure of the 6th Doctor, and it fits into what we saw with Time of the Rani, but it adds so much more in, and we get to see the full gambit of the 6th Doctor on Big Finish. We get to see him with Mel. We get to see him with Jago and Lightfoot. We get to see him with Miranda Raison, who was about to become the new companion, Constance, and we get to see him with Flip as well, but not with Perry. That's surprising. Let me just have a look. See if Nicola Brighton is in that, because really, I'm surprised she's not, because it spans the entire 6th Doctor's life. I think. No, I do not see Nicola Brighton there. She's very noticeable by her absence, I think. Wow, I'm surprised. And there's a little cameo from the 7th Doctor as well. But this is a great set. This is one of their standout sets. I recommend it highly. So now we introduce a new companion to the 6th Doctor, because the 6th Doctor just goes everywhere in Big Finish. The new companion is Constance Clark. She is a Wren from the late 1933, 1944, from World War II. So she's very received pronunciation and upper class, but she's a very again, excellent foil for the 6th Doctor. She's very moral as well. So she acts as a good counterbalance to him. I recommend all these. They bring back Siobhan, whatever her name is, as a Rani in the Rani Elite. I think that's the last time we see her, which is a real shame because she's really good. I mean, the planet of the Rani. Shield of Jotan is set in like a German forest, I think, with like, it's all like a Christmassy, like a scary Christmassy story, as if I recall. Fine. So then he's back in Jago and Lightfoot in Series 11. Go check out my my review of that. And now we're into the Master Trilogy. Again, it's a trilogy of 3 stories, 3 different Doctors: 5th, 6th, and 7th Doctor. So this is the 6th Doctor versus the the Alex McQueen Master, who I really like. I really like him as the Master. Um, and it's called Vampire of the Mind, which I think is is that called back to what was it, second or third poetry story? It'll come back to me. Again, first part available for free. You should download it. Classic Doctors, New Monsters. This had the Sixth Doctor with the Jadoon. Really, really fun story. Recommend. I love this set in general. It's a good set. But the bit standout this one is the Peter Davison story with the Weeping Angels. Then we have Order of the Daleks. That's Miranda Raison is back as Constance. I don't remember anything about this at all, but I love the cover. I love the stained glass Dalek as the cover. Absolute Power was a pretty average tale, as I recall. As was Quicksilver. I would say pretty much average 6, 7 out of 10. Forgettable. Forgettable. Oh, but they've also brought back. I think by here they bring back Lisa Greenwood as Phillips. So now we got a new Doctor companion pairing. So we got Constance, who's very upper class. We got from the 1940s, and we got Flip, who is very down to earth, working class from the 2010s, shall we say, and the Doctor, and it's a really nice TARDIS team, like it a lot. They introduce all the different Doctors to River Song through her series. It's okay if you like River Song, you'll probably like this one. It's okay. It's okay. Vortex Ice and Cortex Fire is two-parters. Pretty good, as I recall. But they're two-parters, and they kind of like dovetail into each other. Then we got another classic Doctor's New Monsters set, and this is who does the Sixth Doctor face? The Sixth Doctor is I've got to look it up. Who is the new monster that he faces? I can't even recognize it from the. Is it? I think it's the. I don't even recognize looking at it. It's the Empire of the Arachnos. No, Night in the Ashra. No. Carry On. Was it Carry Night from the Shakespeare Code? Yeah, because the Sixth Doctor is really so good with language, and so that one actually really works very well. The rest of the set, but you got the fourth and the eighth Doctor versus different versions of the Vasta Narada and the Fifth Doctor versus the Arachnos. I think the Colin Baker story is probably the standout in this one. In fact, going back, and I think the other one, the Colin Baker story with the Jadoon is quite a good one as well, because the Jadoon's on trial. Behemoth is, I don't really recall, something about slavery. I think maybe, really don't remember. The Sixth Doctor, Flip and Constance. The middle was quite good though. The middle is kind of a Logan's Run-esque sci-fi story with giant what's the name? With giant horned people in it. Static, I remember being Static was actually a genuinely scary story. That's a good Halloween story I would recommend. So now more short strips. I'm just glossing over those. Lore of the Nomad was again very 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 average. Jago and Lightfoot Forever was the conclusion of the Jago and Lightfoot series after I think who was it? Trevor Baxter passed away, and Sixth Doctor had been kind of entwined with Jago and Lightfoot, so it made sense in being in there. Iron Bright is a sci-fi historical around the industrial evolution. Lot of historical fact in it. It's okay. That one, it's better than okay. I'll give that one an 8 out of 10. Then David Banks comes back as the Cybermen in the Hour of the Cybermen. This was a really good one. This was a very very good Cyberman one. I like that one. Hunting Ground is in my head I cannot distinguish it at all from this one back here. The Shield of Jotun. I think it's virtually identical if I remember correctly. Does it introduces a new character who I think we see again as a companion, but it's a very Icelandic story. Captain Jack, I haven't listened to one of the few ones I listened to. Memories of the Tyrant. Absolute classic. It came about just over a year ago. Really, really, really clever. I love it. They're in this place or this institute where they try and recover memories. There's a guy who he isn't sure if he doesn't have his memories. It doesn't know if he's like this terrible tyrant that's destroyed a planet or not. Really interesting ideas it goes into here. Who wrote this one? I can't even tell from the cover. You know what? I'm now going to look it up. I'll look it up because it's such a good story. It's made me take the time to look up. Ronald Moore, okay. I've heard the stuff. It's okay, but I think this is probably one of his best stories. Legacy of Time, another one of the massive crossover ones. Not as good as you hope it will be. At least it's on sale for $40. Yeah, might be worth the time. Emissary of the Daleks is a bit disappointing. I was so excited about it, but it just kind of was like a bit meh. That one's missable. Harry Houdini's War is average. Pretty much, it's what you would expect. Houdini was said to be a spy during the First World War, I think, and Sixth Doctor and Perry get entangled into them. Then we get two more of the Lost Stories, and I really hate they totally changed the freaking cover design. I like the cover design's great, but can they not have done a monotone one so we can just give it as a download so we could so we can match it somehow? I did my own ones, but and I'm a graphic designer as well, but they just really weren't very good. So this was one of the aborted season 23, similar to Mr. Magnus, but much better. Much better. Blood on Santa's Claw and Other Adventures is okay. These are four seemingly disparate stories, but they do actually tie into one big story. You think they're going to be four individual stories, but they do join up, and it's clever. It's not very Christmassy though. It doesn't give you the feels. Now we're getting up to the more recent ones. Cry of the Vultress. A Peladon-esque story. You have like these skeksis, from the Dark Crystal, giant bird people meeting up with the Ice Warriors. It's like a first contact thing. Political machinations ensue. Scorched Earth, frickin' brilliant story. That was again, I think probably the best story over the last 12 months. It was the best story since Memoirs of a Tyrant. So you see how far back that was. Really, really interesting issues about who's good, who's bad, recriminations after war. It has real moral ambiguity, and it has a really good fun story that rattles along with. This was a really great story. I really recommend this highly. And Lovecraft Invasion hasn't come out yet. What we got coming up? We got Sixth Doctor and Perry stories. Perry, this hasn't come out yet. Let me just check. Has this come out yet? I don't think this comes out late this year. And the Sixth Doctor also joins up with the 10th Doctor and River Song, I think, in September. When does this come out? This is coming out in August. I know it's coming out soon. This continues. I believe it continues the post-Yukanos Perry story, which is a bit weird. Why they have young Perry on there instead of like slightly older Perry. So there we go. There we have it. The Sixth Doctor at Big Finish. A lot to check out. I would say overwhelmingly all of it good. I remembered a lot more of it, which is a testament to how good the Sixth Doctor is on Big Finish. And there's so many great releases for $2.99. There's early ones. Yeah, if you're new to Big Finish, just go to the early ones. They're freaking awesome. They're again $2.99 a pop. If you have a long car drive, or you want to listen to it over a few days, really strong recommend. Great Doctor Who, really great Doctor Who, which you probably never heard of before. My name is Sheila Becken, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.